GM friends, welcome back to Agent Camp. You've got Colin here, we've got Mikhail here, we've got Mel and Mateus. They'll hop up here in a second and introduce themselves. Look at the whole crew here. We're ready to rock and roll. We appreciate your patience as we're getting everything going for our second session. As you know, there's a lot of material to cover, so I'm not going to take too much time before I hand it off here to the DevRel geniuses on hand with us. But I wanted to share just a little bit of metric update from our first session. And I'm just so excited about the enthusiasm that we've seen from the community. And we're very happy to have you back here for our second session. So I think that many of you have now seen the track selector that was in the registration for this second session. I appreciate we have over 200 responses already for that. We've have 125 of y'all have raised your hands for that advanced track, and we've had 83 for that beginner track. And so we're well recognizing pretty much almost an even split in our appetite and our familiarity with this material. And you're going to start to see a divergence in our content. We'll start doing some follow-up emails between these sessions to make sure that we're catering to both that beginner and that advanced track. So we appreciate you guys filling that out. A couple of other little details here. 91 of you have raised your hand to identify as solo devs. You got this on your own. You're ready to discover the trenches and figure out what you can do with your own hands. 117 of you have raised hands to say, I'm happy to make friends. I'm happy to work with others and collaborate on projects that we could possibly build together. So you'll also see some follow-up emails specifically for those friend group seekers, and we'll do our best to kind of link y'all up and find the common overlap or maybe the missing skill sets from the A to the B and get you put together with someone that should be able to help complement what you're trying to make happen. We were able to pull the chat logs from the first session, and so we'll be scraping that to get the remaining socials that I'm still seeking. But we have added a social list of all the handles for the participants who have turned those in so far. And so if you submitted your Twitter account or your Farcaster account, that is now on the list, and that'll be visible on our Agent Camp resource kit, which I think many of you have already discovered. Hopefully you have it bookmarked, you have it close at hand. If not, we'll be sharing that out after the fact as well, and it'll include the recording of not only just today's episode, but it'll have the first episode and all of our future material as well. We'll get the slide decks from our presenters if they have any visual materials that they're sharing. We'll make sure that that's in the resource kit for you as well. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Colin up here to warm the room up, and then we'll have Mateus introduce himself, and then we'll get into the bulk of the content today with our friend Mel.
Oh, good morning and GM to everybody. I was really excited to see all the GMs in the chat. If you are excited to be here today, please drop a GM in the channel. That really warms our morning. I walked into my office to grab this cool studio. I'm in San Francisco. I'm Colin Lowenberg. I am the core contributor to the DABL CLUB. DABL CLUB is a group of amazing, what we call DevRel engineers. And we are out there in the community building and helping builders learn how to use AI tools and Web3 tools. So we are that cross section of Web3 and AI. So if you're new to the DABL CLUB, you can also find us on dabl.club. That's our website. And you can find all sorts of useful tools. We actually ran a camp focused on Web3 in the past. So that was sort of our education, getting people started on Ethereum. But obviously in the last year or two, we've seen AI take over everything in the development world. And so we've really changed and shifted and built the DABL CLUB around a AI focus. And so we've been working on some awesome things in the background. And so really excited to bring you guys. This is episode 2 of Agent Camp. This is the brainchild of Mel, who we'll bring on today. He's our featured speaker. He's our lead DevRel engineer. If you want to work with DABL CLUB, we also have been very active in the Polygon ecosystem. So we've been hosting events all around the world with the Polygon guilds and as well as other blockchain companies we've worked with. So we host a lot of events around the world. We'll be in ETH Denver, we'll be at ETH SF, and we'll be at most of the ETH Global hackathons. There is an exciting Ethereum Global hackathon coming up at the end of this month. So in just 2 weeks, the ETH Global Agentic Ethereum Hackathon is coming up. So I want to encourage everyone on this call to go and sign up for the next big hackathon, which in my opinion is going to be that Agentic Ethereum Hackathon. So it's an async hackathon, which means it's online and virtual, and it lasts 2 weeks. So I want to encourage everyone here to go and apply. I'll drop a link on the screen. This is one of the best hackathons in the business of running hackathons. So everything they do is always excellent, and we try to partner with them on all their events. So I encourage everyone to take what you learn in this and go win the hackathon. And we'll be there too. So we'll be along for the ride. So when this is over, we'll be in the middle of the hackathon. So hopefully like Agent Camp takes you to the hackathon path and you build some agents with us. You might find your own teammates on this call. If you want to join our chat group, you can always find us and chat with us. We're easy to access. I'm on Twitter, but we also have a Telegram chat group. So you can find us on dabble.chat. So that's where you can find us. All right. Well, enough housekeeping. I want to also introduce another speaker today, Matheus Pagani. He is an amazing educator and a full stack engineer. So I want to bring Matheus and Mel on to kind of talk about what we're going to talk about before we get started. Welcome, Mr. Matheus Pagani, our esteemed guest. Thank you for joining us. We're actually going to have you leading one of our sessions soon. So I'm excited about that. We were just, before this call, we were just playing around with the Coinbase developer kit, making it work on Polygon. We found like, oh, hey, here's a few bugs here.
Fun stuff.
We've got to get a faucet, or we're going to have to give out mainnet Polygon tokens to everyone on the call. So we'll get it working with the testnet. It works with mainnet, but we got to make the testnet work now. So
yeah, just 1,000 per person. That's good, right, Colin?
Let's do it up on mainnet to everybody so they can just use the Coinbase agent kit, which works with Polygon mainnet, but not testnet. So we got to go. We're going to get you guys an agent kit. Yeah.
But don't spoil too much of the fun for tomorrow.
Okay.
We have a great introduction from Mel about the subject. At the end, I'm going to give a content or two about agents, how it's possible that we can call agents, how we can build them with code. We have advanced track, we have beginner track, so it's more like a mix. And then by next lesson, we're going to have a deep dive on the coding and the building side, right? And Mel, what kind of fun stuff you have for today before we start coding?
So the idea, and hey everyone, hi, thanks for the intro. The idea is, we went through some concepts of AI and found the fundamentals last session, and I know some of them feel very complex or very technical. So this session is a little bit more about getting out there and testing the different tools and resources that we have available on just for our day-to-day work, and we will be growing or leading into how we can specialize more and more each of these tools until we reach to the point that, so what if I want to do a very specific task for a very specific flow? And that's when you start thinking, so maybe we can start expanding from going just from AI apps or AI tools into, let's build an agent, let's create the tools for the agent to use, and just to start thinking and see how far you can go with the tools to start creating the agents yourself. I know we have different levels of technical level, and that's fine. But what we want you to take from today is that doesn't matter your technical level, you are able to still use AI tools for your day-to-day use. And if you scratch a little bit more than just the surface, you'll see how fast you can actually start doing things that you would have never dreamt of, like coding and creating websites, creating apps. And this is gonna become more and more, gonna become a trend. So we want you to start expanding your vision and your ideas, so you can start thinking on what can you build to solve a problem that you have.
I have to say, I feel a little dwarfed by the awesomeness that's on this call. So I want to asked Mel to get prepared to lead our presentation today. And Mateus is going to be prepared for a presentation tomorrow. And if you want to meet us in person, you guys are invited to meet us in Denver. So we'll be at Ethereum Denver. It's a big event coming up. It's one of the biggest events in all of crypto. And if you guys show up there, we'll be likely having an agent camp, likely next door to the Polygon ecosystems, a co-working space that you can come and hang out with us. So we'll be in Denver for the week, and you can come co-work with us and hack on the agents. It's also a major hackathon that we want people to get prepared for. You need to go apply for it as well. So just like the ETH Global, you should go apply early. Don't wait on that. And also get your flights and hotels in right now. So Denver is going to be great, and you can catch the next agent camp there in Denver. We may also have an agent camp in New York before Denver, and we'll have an agent camp in San Francisco after Denver. So look forward to more of these. Hopefully we'll be diving in even deeper, but we want to onboard new folks. So we want to make it easy for newcomers. So today's presentation will cover a lot of different topics, and we will be coding on the next one. In detail, we'll be coding more in the next one. All right, Mel, are you good to go?
Let's go. Yeah, we'll just do a little bit of how the structure is going to be. We're going to start with more theory and basics and start exploring some tools. And then we're going to do a little review on some frameworks that exist. We're not going to dive deep into the code, as Colin mentioned. We just want you to understand what's out there and what options you have to start building AI tools or agents for precisely the bulletin that we have. And yeah, we can start having some fun. Let me share my screen. And we are gonna start with the presentation, which I'm very happy to say was executed precisely with some of the tools that are here. So if you don't mind the branding, which we don't have because we haven't trained this agent or this AI tool for this, but this was created just from the content that we generated for the lesson, and it was created by an AI tool. So how can you enhance daily life with AI tools and frameworks? So that's what we're going to explore today. Doesn't matter how technical your job is, you can still enhance your daily life just with AI tools and frameworks for your everyday actions. So there's a lot of AI apps that you can think of them as such. Depends on the specialization or what they want to achieve. That's how you can start classifying them. Some very good apps that I have tried recently or I have seen working or that I use on day-to-day life. So I know I just want to see your reactions there. How many of these have you used or do you know of? For example, until recently, I learned about Gamma app, Suno. Sorry, I had seen the videos, but all of the others I have used a lot. And especially since I'm a developer, I rely a lot on Cursor to build to just my daily tasks for code creation and all of this. But the funnest part is for prototyping and stuff like this. You can use V0 or Bolt or Replit. Your day-to-day ChatGPT or Claude, I'm sure a lot of you have used them. And it's just about thinking, okay, so what's out there and how can I achieve it? And we want you to start thinking about these ideas of what's your job. Maybe your job is more on the I don't know, a creative or artistic side, or we always have to create music for maybe the intro of your YouTube video as a developer relations engineer. That happens a lot. Or you want to just create a fun song to share with your friends. You can do something like this. I don't know if it's gonna sound, but create synth rock melody inspired in Muse and 9 Inch Nails. Yeah, let's go. Join. So this is the kind of things that I want you to start exploring and just record. Let's see. So this is just an example of the kind of things that you can start finding out, and we will see more and more proliferation of these kind of applications. So this is one. This is Suno. This is very specific for music. It's very fun. Let's wait for it to create. Let's see. Let's see how it sounds. Nice. Can you hear it? Not sure, but it does sound very synth rock. But yeah, this is the kind of things that you can start looking for. As I was saying, on Gamma app, for example, this is the one that I used to create this presentation that we're showing. And all I did was create the content. Of course, you can start using all of these tools and start exploring, but it all depends on what you want to achieve. So we have Suno for music. We have this one for presentations. We have Sora for videos. I don't know if they have released the open tools or whatever, but I'm sure most of you are familiar with ChatGPT and Claude. So I think these are some of the two of them are probably the best starters. If you haven't tried anything, I would be surprised if you haven't tried ChatGPT. But the ChatGPT that we know is usually just this, right? Just a very simple, interface where you can chat with the LLM. Remember, all of these models that we have here, ChatGPT and Claude, these are models for large language models, or rather. So we have this wrapper, and we can interact with this LLM, sorry, and we can start thinking on how we can not only just share information with them and share tweets, but rather start thinking on, okay, what can I customize? How can I make it better? How can I start thinking about, okay, you need to be, maybe I'm a office corporate, I used to work there, and I needed to do a lot of data entry. So please, so you need to generate some instructions here. And that's one of the key things that you need to start thinking when interacting with LLMs. Instructions and prompt engineering is the key of all of this. So for example, if I wanted to create a more specific ChatGPT, I will need to start giving it more custom instructions. And I'm going to jump very quickly into Claude, because that's how we have been working for our projects. We have our specialized assistants. As you can see here, there's a lot of instructions. I'm just going to copy and paste it and pass it to ChatGPT. Can you please explain these system prompt instructions? So for example, here's what you can see, that we're giving these LLMs a new role and a new vision on how to start interacting. So we named this assistant Double North, and we asked it to role play as our co-founder, so it can help us build all of the AI system development, product strategy, and community building, and help us jam and exchange information or just exchange ideas with each other. You can start uploading content into different assistants, and that's something that I would really recommend to do. So let's say Agent Camp. And here's where you can start adding files. I don't know how many of you have done this already, but this is very, very powerful. And that's how you start going a little bit further than just the LLM wrapper that was for a while like a meme, that you had a lot of startups that are just LLM wrappers. But it's important to keep into consideration that LLM wrappers are still part of the agent framework, and we'll see how. So for example, you see all of the data that's contained inside this system prompt, and we're including areas of expertise. You can core responsibilities like technical support, what they have to do, styles of communication. This is very important. So you need to start asking the LLMs, hey, I'm going to give you this information, and you will process it in this way and then output it in that other way. This is super important to give these instructions and start thinking about how LLMs process information and how they get the output out. And knowledge integration processing, it's a lot of cool stuff. And if I went here and I went to add a file, I don't know how many of you have done this kind of fun stuff. This is a cool story that somebody built for an agent that we created for Nouns Amigos, and he created like a lore, a kind of origin story. And I just uploaded the content, and I can say, hey, can you give me an overview of Agente Burrito? So it detects that it has access to this content, and that's where, if you remember from the last session, what we are doing here is taking the LLM wrapper, or rather the LLM, which is OpenAI in this case, and we are enabling a new functionality to it. We are allowing the retrieval augmented generation through uploading of content. When you upload the content, ideally, as you remember, you have to vectorize this or embed, create these embeddings of the text, which are the vector representations of the text, and then it gets stored into a vector store database. So this more or less, maybe not necessarily into, I don't know if they are really doing it. That's why I cannot confirm it, but probably they are. So let's say, just a summary. And that's a way that you can start using and leveraging these LLMs in your day-to-day job. So you need to create a summary, you need to create a report, you need to create that tweet thread. And it's very powerful to have these possibilities of creating these knowledge bases that, data is king and all of this, that still holds true. And this is how we start leveraging that data that we have and putting LLMs, put it at the disposal of LLMs so they can help us achieve the goals that we have, whichever they may be. It's a summary, creation of a document, creation of code. That's very, very cool. Like you can, from maybe a scope document or just like a one pager, you can ask the LLM, hey, can you give me an idea of how the code would look? Let's see. A vision of how to enable extra functionality to Agente Burrito. Oh, sorry about that. We using ELISA framework. So all of these tools are here at your disposal, and I really suggest that you start thinking outside of the box on how to approach these tools and how to use them to get the best value out of it, because it can really power your productivity. So I'm gonna move back to, it's just creating a lot of stuff that it was harder to do before. So AI apps, are they assistants or are they agents? It's tricky. It's tricky to define. Depends. For example, this Uno one is very specialized. And even though we don't have a lot of back and forth between us as users and the LLM or whichever entities working on this music generation, it probably has some chained execution of specific actions or tools to morph these different outputs. Maybe first it starts with the bass only, and you start adding a guitar specialist or a guitar generator, then a lyrics generator, and you start chaining together these executions that are affecting the process that started here with this simple prompt. And it's as I mentioned the last session, it's just starts processing at each node or at each point in a different way. So it's tricky to say if they are agents precisely, but what we're really looking for is agents to become more autonomous and can use tools and complete tasks. So it's available. That's the power of chain execution. So LangChain, as I mentioned last session, was one of the first, or if not the first, to start chaining these different execution flows. And then you start creating more specialized workflows. The specialized workflows are actually recommended. The more specialized your tool or your agent is, the less chance or rather, the better chance you have of getting the output that you expect. And you have to be very careful about moving towards general purpose workflows, because this can be, while powerful too, you can bring in a lot of, it can get muddy for the agent to process. So this is important to start thinking about how to start specializing the workflows and have it execute exactly what we want. So very important part of all of this, when you want to start creating AI tools and agents, you have to have a very clear view of what you want as an output, and include that in the prompt when you generate something, because that's when you start using AI tools to your benefit. Customizing AI workflows. We enhance the LLMs with the function tool, and we can integrate data, which is another kind of workflow, the RAG system. So some of the frameworks that are empowering builders and that you probably have heard of, ELIZA, which is personally the one that I'm getting more involved with. I really like the open source aspect of ELIZA. LangChain is also open source. I believe there are several other wrappers or frameworks that use LangChain as a base. So LangChain is also very good. It has a Python and TypeScript versions. Vercel AI is very, very cool. I actually think it's one of the easiest to start using. It's just very simple to get execution flows. However, the agent doesn't take a lot of personality. It feels more of an assistant. And OpenAI is also similar. It's just a matter of, they all have different ways of executing the flows. So how does the agentic action flow? I don't know if there's any questions up until this point. I'm going to pause here for a bit.
I actually good break point there, Mel. Just a couple of quick questions here. Let's start with Last Frontier. He just wants to know, in terms of like using GPT for all of your document submissions, doesn't GPT ingest the uploads into its general LLM, so maybe not ideal for, say, sensitive or confidential documents?
One suggestion that's a good question. And one suggestion that somebody who's an AI specialist, usually when you're paying for something, read the terms and services. That's what she told me, or she told us. Like, just read them, because that's where exactly you're going to know if they are ingesting it or not. And what she told us was that usually when you pay a service such as OpenAI or Cloud, you get this kind of protection where supposedly this data will not be shared. So that's a good point, and that's where interesting solutions such as GaiaNet with its public nodes or public LLMs can help. Of course, there's a performance issue, the distributed network, yada yada yada. But that's a good point to take into account. And yeah, don't submit like super confidential information. Maybe don't upload your private keys, for example.
Well, it sounds like, if you're using a public or free version of it, then you don't necessarily anticipate privacy. Go ahead, Colin.
Mm-hmm. I did a little research on the subject before I joined MetaMask, and I actually started a company to help solve this problem. So OpenAI product managers and engineers can see whatever you write into that prompt box, right? Now, they don't typically do that unless there's an issue or they're trying to collect information for performance. But technically, they could use that to retrain their model and improve their product. So any super sensitive information, particularly code that you paste into OpenAI, is no longer a trade secret. So if you paste your GitHub code, you paste your code into there, it's not protected like GitHub would be. So some companies have chosen to use the Microsoft version of OpenAI. So you can use the OpenAI service. It's a different instance on Azure, and you might feel a little more confident. They promise not to use that data for training, but their product managers and engineers also can have access. So the best practice, if you're a big company or you really want to protect your data, is to mask all of your data before you send it in. So there's a few APIs out there that can erase PII or the sensitive data from your prompts before you send them to ChatGPT. And Private AI is the one that I used in my startup. So didn't succeed because it's an enterprise type of product. Most people don't care as much about privacy or aren't willing to pay for it. There are a few private versions of ChatGPT that provide a privacy layer, and maybe we can have them come and speak on our call. I think that would be really cool.
Perfect. Deep topic there, but good stuff. This is from Justin here. He wants to know, Mel, you're talking about using ChatGPT to like help you with the prompting and creating this thing. He just wants to clarify that's just one LLM model, right? You could use Grok, Gemini, or any of the other type of sources to do that type of work, right?
Yes, it depends more on the framework that you're using. If you use OpenAI, I think they expect you to use the OpenAI SDK or the API key. But most of the frameworks that I have explored have this option to where you can select which LLM you want to use. So definitely a good consideration. And part of what I like about Elisa is that it gives you a lot of flexibility here on how you want to create the agents. And you can tell the difference between models because some feel more organic than others. I would say the LLM for GaiaNet, I felt it very robotic, very assistant, like hey, how can I help you today? And like and I changed things like to be a bit more approachable, more friendly, but it didn't work. And with Anthropic, it worked better. So that's it depends. It's all about. It's like tastes. It can be to your taste or not.
Basically, go ahead, Colin.
I think it's a good question that Brandoff brought up, which is like, hey, where are we actually building? Like, where do you like? From my perspective, the answer is like most people like Cursor plus Claude is a great combination, but you can use any LLM model with Cursor. So it seems to be a good IDE that's very AI focused. Replit has been my favorite place to dive in lately because the agent is built in, but you don't and you can also use Claude with the AI assistant within Replit. So you get two different options within Replit, but you don't get as many options as you would with Cursor. And GitHub Copilot would be another sort of coding assistant. But where would you? What's your answer, Mel? Where are you pasting your code, or you have the agent built into your IDE?
Okay, so let's separate these things. So you have the LLMs, and these are easily accessible via APIs. That's something that exists today, and we're gonna check very quickly how to build one with V0, just a chatbot UI, and actually. Maybe I can share screen so people start understanding what we mean by using these tools. You haven't used v0.dev, you're missing out on something very fun, honestly. Oh, yikes. Why is it opening here? One second. Okay, I'm here. And this is the one that I just prompted earlier today, and it generated. I just did this: create a chat interface that serves as the UI for interactions with LLMs and other AI-generated text-based programs. That's a mouthful, but if you check the code, and I know this is a little bit technical, but it's very simple. We are using OpenAI SDK and the stream text, which is from Vercel, just to get this kind of flow of going. And if you see, what we are doing is just pinging the data to the SDK. So you have these SDKs, and you can. Hey there. Are you an agent or just an LLM? And the important thing here is the LLMs that live inside Claude, live inside Cursor. That's the problem in a sense. So they are siloed. They don't have access to outside functions. Somebody mentioned that he was playing with ChatGPT, and he was creating, and I was testing this before. He was creating assistants or agents through the playground, and mentioned about how when you start getting bloated and getting not as powerful, and that's part of the issues or like the limitations for LLMs. They are contained within a specific environment, and it depends on the conditions of that environment, how fast or how good it can be. So you have Claude, sadly, and this I do believe, all of this information, it's only contained here, and only the people who are part of the team can access it. And that's an issue, because I would love to have North explain to all of you stuff that we have created and we have uploaded. And for example, in the case of this one, I created a small function for get Pokemon data using the the API, and it's actually very simple to create. Let me see if I can create a new one. Okay, but you see, when you start creating these functions, and that's where agents come. So everything else feels like an LLM. Replit, I would say Replit it feels more of an agent because it executes things for you. You don't have to go and ask him, hey, I can just create this website, start building. And this is just on a template. They didn't even enter anything. And for example, this agent in particular, it does feel like an agent because I just prompted something, and it not only is going to return to me the architecture or the code, it's actually going to go create the files, create the deployments, and determine what it's going to do. So say yes, and it's going to just by its own start working through it. One thing that's very important, let me return to the question. So where does the agent live, or the LLM live? So as you can see, LLMs are just one part of the code. So here, the OpenAI and the model and the messages. So technically, it's not living inside any of our servers. It's living inside OpenAI's, Anthropic's, Meta, all of this. So you have access to these LLMs, and they take care of the power and the energy required for this, and they give you back the process. So technically, the LLMs are part of each proprietary service. Now, for the agents themselves, when you start building and you start creating agents, it usually lives in a server. So, for example, Railway is a very good example of an app that actually can do cool stuff. And you have the Burrito agents here, and it's living here perfectly. Just upload to GitHub, and you have variables, and it has URL endpoints and all of these that you can interact. This is with the ELISA framework, by the way, but that's where it lives. Like, if you want to think about agents and what we're going to build, it has to live in a server. Like, and honestly, agents, even though we give to them a lot of humanity, or like try to apply some human concepts like personality or responses, there's still endpoints, there's still servers, and there's still just tools that we are building. So I don't know I think that this answers the question enough, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good spot there, Mel. We got lots of questions rolling in this time too, so we'll make sure that we keep rolling through with your presentation. You can move in
All right.
the agentic flows there. But again, guys, we got the chat logs, and so I'll make sure that we extract all these good questions and address these in due time.
Perfect. Thanks, Kale. So the agentic flow, the agentic action flow. So when you start thinking into expanding more than just LLMs and start getting this agency, this is the flow that usually happens. So you as a user, you request a task execution. Let's say I want to send Temple to Kale. So the LLM is going to process this request, and it's going to detect some keywords such as transfer or send or share, I don't know, things that are associated or similar. And if it detects that this request has an action definition inside its code, the LLM will know that it can use this specific function to fulfill the request of the user. Usually, there's an extra check. It's funny. You declare these functions inside the agent, and each framework has a way to do it. But once it's declared inside the agent's, an array or a config file, whatever, it gets processed into their knowledge that they have access to this tool and they can use it. Then they can check what are the requirements, what are the parameters that it needs. For example, if I wanted to send Paul, I would need to at least say from who's sending it, which would be me, to who we are sending, and the amount. So if you don't have any of those parameters or data requirements for the action execution, usually the agent flow goes and retrieves or looks for that for those requirements, that data from the user. So usually you can come back and say, hey, I need this information. For example, in the in the playground, hey, can you tell me more about Pokemon? This Pokemon. And since I'm not providing any ID or it's already loaded there. Let me clear this. Up here. So, for example, this is the message that they had. So, hey, want more information about a Pokemon? Can you look for it? So, for example, it says, of course, to be delighted, please let me know which Pokemon you're interested in. So let's say Dragonite, which is my favorite Pokemon. So, this is where we start getting, okay, so it gets the Pokemon data, it knows that it has a name, and we can press tab to generate a response. So you see this flow, and after you get the data, then the agent or the LLM can execute the function and provide the user with a feedback. So that's a flow. It's not very complex. Of course, when you get to the technical side, it depends on how you interact and how much you want to extend this evaluation and this processing of the action. The action can be as simple as just execute a transaction, which is relatively simple, or it could be like find the best strategy to get a yield of 15% yearly inside Polygon with just these 3 tokens. Of course, this will be a much more complex action, and you need to create all of these evaluations for the LLM processing. So that's where the tricky part is. But if you work with simple actions, then you can get faster into what you want, and you can change these actions. Remember, like you can code and program them into be more specific, and have them be very, very simple to follow for the LLM. So some challenges in agent development, specifically for what we're trying to achieve. Blockchain integration is challenging because of the synchronous tasks. So you need to, this has always been a challenge for UX in blockchain and crypto. So it doesn't change a lot in agents, but instead of delegating that UX problems to, or rather, just leaving the users with the UX problems, we need to, as builders, start thinking on how to create these agents in a way that's very simple for the user to just interact with it via chat, via natural language, and get back the execution or the task execution that they want. So that's it. We're gonna pause there for the theory. I want to go a little bit into some of the frameworks that we have currently. Let's pause. So one that I wanted to show was Replit. And Colin, I think you have which was the Replit that wanted to? Oh, I had one running, right? I had one running here.
Oh, you got one running? I've got a few repls. I've got too many repls open. I've dove in. I've basically, if you go to replit.com, you can go and find lots of templates, including the Coinbase developer kit, agent kit, which is pretty useful. And there's actually not that many agent protocol like templates out there. So we'll be releasing one likely in time for the next call, so that you guys can clone our existing template that is already working. So I think Replit agent, as you're showing right here, is pretty awesome at making changes and kind of building from scratch. But if you're trying to edit their existing project, the Replit assistant is probably the other bot that you would use in your interface. But the agent, did you use the agent to build that site? Nice.
Yeah. Right now, that's what I'm like. Just asking. I don't have a clear goal for this. Just an example, but it's been suggesting me to add that we're creating a waitlist site, and then it suggested to add a referral tracking mechanism, which is cool. And you see, it's starting to edit the database schema. Then it's going to run a database migration. It installed the packages that it needs. So you as a builder don't have to go and find all of the tools that you need. You can ask the agent to look them for you. If you have a preference, of course, you can let the agent know, and it will take those into consideration whenever you want to create something. So it executes. You see, it's actually executing scripts now. It's executing the database. It's not a migration; it's a push, but still, it's using DrizzleKit. I'm not a fan of Drizzle, but now I'm using Drizzle. Now I'm getting my hands dirty with Drizzle, and yes, here's where the challenge starts coming for people who are not developers. But this is the interesting part. You can go from here to at least test ideas, test prototypes, just proof of concepts, see if they would work. And you don't have, you have to pay. It's like 5 cents per request, which is not cheap, because it adds up rather quickly. You see, for example, for this chat, I have already spent 25 cents. This is something very important to take into consideration also. LLMs are very powerful, but they consume a lot of energy, and the API keys and all of them, they can get expensive. So be careful about how much you want the agents to be able to interact, because they can drain faster than you think the amount of money that you have. So apparently create a referrals. I don't know exactly. Let's see. Let's see if it works. Oh. Okay, so you see, I didn't have to do anything. And we do have here, if you check, here's like an IDE where everything has been built, and you can just click here, deploy. And of course, you need to pay for this compute power. I don't remember what was the price.
It can be a little expensive, right?
Yeah, it can get expensive.
Actually, that might be a good point to answer this question: is how does Replit stack up against Claude? Would you say it's better at coding than Claude? And then someone else already answered the question. Replit uses Claude for its assistant. You can open up a assistant window in there right next to the agent. And the assistant is actually using Claude Sonnet 3.5, which is well known to be a very good coding LLM. And so the assistant is really great for making changes to your code with directly inside the Replit interface. But the Replit agent is Replit's version that's improved. They actually used V0 and LangChain to build a agent that can do more actions and have multiple steps and suggest ideas. So the agent takes it, rather than, being an intern and just completing a task, the agent gives you ideas and will code multi-step processes. I think that would be it's a good example of the difference between an AI assistant and an AI agent, is the difference between Replit assistant and Replit agent.
Correct. And yeah, it depends on how far you want to go as a builder. So Replit works great for this kind of adventures, if you will. Sorry, I would say Cursor is very, very powerful, and I'm sure Mateus can also give us a very good overview of Cursor. But whoops, there's another one. Okay, so we have some agents here. And this is something that we're going to check. I need to open the terminal, actually. There we go.
I think it's also good to note for the non-coders on the call, Replit is a good place for a no-code person to dive in and start coding without having to know a lot about coding. And there's other applications like bolt.new and v0.dev. Those would probably be my top picks for the no-coders. But what do you think, Mel and Mateus? What are the best no-coder tools out there?
Those are great. They all wrap some model behind, so you are going to be interfacing with OpenAI, with some cloud model or some Llama version, Code Llama, something at the end of the day. So what they do actually is to improve the user experience at the end, so you don't need to actually prompt things. They manage context now. And for newcomers, the one that I find the most helpful is Cursor. The way they wrap the things there at your hand, so you can peer program with an AI You can chat with it like, bro, you got it all wrong. I wanted it like this and like that. I saw some videos of Austin Griffith doing like that. It is a great experience, and it's great for newcomers because then English becomes your coding language. You don't need to learn JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, Rust, whatever. You just code in plain English, and you go doing those changes as they go appearing on your face.
What would you say are the best pro coder tools? Someone said, what about if you are a coder? What are the coder tools? Pro coders would probably use, I think Replic's great. Obviously Cursor seems to be the winner of the day.
Yeah, I'm using Bolt right now. That's what I'm showing. So Bolt is a different one. It's very similar to Replit Agent in the sense that you can create a lot of stuff just from a prompt. And I think it actually launches an application, like a full-fledged application. This one's using Supabase, for example, for this kind of things. But definitely, I don't think there's like a best one, but they each have their own good things and bad things. It's more of the one that makes the most sense to you, and that also doesn't affect you too much when it comes to cost, because that's something about Replit that's challenging, is keeping track of the changes that you're doing, and it's very easy to go crazy. And then you get a bill of $2-3, which again might not seem like a lot, but if you do that daily and just for things that depends. So okay, this one's building the whole thing. It's doing a lot of stuff. I'm surprised. Now the thing is, from here, as a developer, how can I take it to the next step? Or how can I, or rather, as a non-developer, how can I leverage these tools to start creating things by myself? And that's where AI can really help, but it's not going to do everything for you. So you need to really, really, really start thinking on how Cursor and exploring Cursor to help you understand it. This is something that I like a lot about Cursor. So for example, I can include this folder, I think. Yeah. Can you give me an overview of the this is not the page. Okay. And you can also use the composer, and let's say create a chat interface to connect with Open AI SDK and use Vercel's AI package. So this is super, like, when you start, and of course you need to have some sense of what you're doing. It's not like it's gonna just do everything for you very quickly, but it gets you on a very, very far point where you would be if you weren't using this. What's this called? Preview. Right, this didn't work very well. Okay, I need to connect to project. Let's see.
What are we building right now?
I think I need to connect my project to Supabase or something like that. Let's see if I can do it. Now it's gonna be a mess. Since we're using database and it's using Supabase, I need to configure something here in the code. You see, there should be something. Yeah, I need the URL and the anon key. Yeah, it's a little bit messy, but that's where you can start asking.
Into the chat for us, please.
What am I missing? I cannot see the code. The URL. Okay.
That's great that it
Yeah.
I think Replit comes with its built-in tools and its built-in database, right? It uses Postgres built into REPL. So but a Supabase is probably one of the more popular databases out there. So I think I like Replit because I don't have to think about connecting other things. But I guess you have to think about your requirements. If you're going to build, if you like Supabase, then Bolt might be the way to go.
And just a reminder too, as always, we'll get a whole list of all these links and all these reference websites into the resource kit after today's episode. So don't panic right now if you feel like you're not keeping up with everything that they're demonstrating.
And we will share the videos online as well. So the last call and this call will go live on YouTube. I think we already have one on YouTube. It's listed in the resource kit.
Let me see if I can get it to, can you install the missing packages for Shadcn UI? I don't think it's gonna do, but something very, very fun too. You can add docs here. So docs, and then you go and let's find how I want to use. Oh, Shadcn.
I want to ask the whole panel here too. This is the second time Ivan's brought this up. Have y'all ever tried the Claude MCP? He's talking specifically about its capabilities to like publish to GitHub repos and operate completely within the Claude chat to make effective changes. Is this something y'all have explored yet?
I'm sorry, didn't get it completely.
No worries. The Claude MCP.
Claude MCP. Not familiar with that.
Right on, Ivan. You're on the frontier, my friend. We've still got things to learn.
It's like a cool copilot. You can have a kind of bipolar coder. Like sometimes it's super intelligent, but sometimes it's super dumb, working directly at the GitHub repository. It's fun to try out.
So let's slow things down here and look at Brandolph's comment, because me and Brandolph are on the same dev layer, which is 0. So he's learning based on what y'all are sharing so far. He's working hard. I can see him in the trenches. He's trying to make this thing work. So is his brain in the right place here? He's using Claude to generate LangChain, multi-LLM code, putting it in GitHub, and he's using that in Fleek. Is this a reasonable approach, or is he not even understanding the pieces right?
It's like he is. Makes sense. He has to be on GitHub. Ideally tested on locally, so you see that it works. I haven't used Fleek personally to upload. I use Vercel and Railways for a lot of stuff, but I'm sure Fleek should be able to give you a proper URL. However, it depends on what the LangChain multi-LLM code, what is the definition of that? Is it just an endpoint? Is it a REST API? Is it an agent framework that already has these endpoints where you can interact with the agent that you define? So that's where it gets tricky, and it depends a lot on what you are building or how you are approaching it. That's where the different flavors of frameworks come in. So you have ELISA, which is a multi-agent framework, and when you go into the code, it's very it feels a little complex, but it's also very powerful. But it might be too heavy on to begin with, because you need to do a lot of psychology kind of things, and the actions have to be very specific. It's fun, but still like a little bit more deep into the psychology. And there are other agent frameworks, such as, for example, Vercel AI, which is what I mentioned. Very simple at the beginning, and maybe I'm gonna check the SDK. And it's very simple especially to create these definitions of the tools. However, it feels like you're only enabling the LLM to have these tools, which is still, helpful, but it depends on how much you want to dive into this. Mateus, what about AgentKit and LangChain? Do you have any thoughts there on how it works and how it differentiates a little bit from the others?
Yeah, like 2 years ago, even at the beginning of the chatbot era, we had So like speaking 2 years ago, like it was ages ago, but we had these frameworks for you to like orchestrate your calls to the LLMs, pass the correct amount of content and all. Then we started doing some code sandbox, like with OpenAI and cloud, and then we saw that it was possible to do like file search, and then the whole RAG thing started. And eventually, these frameworks allowed us to use the LLM as decision point for what action should do next, what function calls should do next. And then these frameworks got super useful for building agents too. So like Llama Index, LangChain, all those are Web 2 stuff. Like most of the people maintaining those repositories, they don't even know what is a blockchain, what's a token, whatever. Like it's not necessarily to interface with the blockchain. So it's a bit different from those frameworks, from those tool chains that we find, toolkits that we find for Web3, that they are more for interfacing with smart contracts, doing token transactions, trades, on-chain calls, signatures, and blah, blah, blah. And as a newcomer, sometimes it all get mixed up, like the agent and the blockchain part and all. So whenever possible, I like to go slowly explaining blocks with blocks so we don't get everything mixed. Like the concepts can be applied separately. So in each occasion, we would present each of those. But for today, I have this introduction for the agent kit itself that indeed mixes both. Maybe if we have a few minutes, I would do the introduction of what is what. And by tomorrow's lesson, we cover the coding part of it. Maybe that would be a more organized flow for things. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Mel, do you have more slides, Mel, or more presentation?
Wanted to share also on Cursor. This is something that's they've been messaging about. How can we start using better for Cursor and for any LLM that you use for coding? Please use the system prompt to your advantage. That's where you're gonna get the most out of your what you spend, because that's true. There's a price for that you're paying for Cursor. I think it's like $20 a month. But for example, these rules for AI, and this is a system prompt, and I found it in this website that I shared on the chat, and I'm also gonna share it here in the cursor.directory. And here, different people have there are several of these kind of websites where you can check. For example, I don't know almost nothing about Rust. No, I actually don't know Rust. What if I want to start using Rust? Then I can select this prompt and create, or rather change the existing one here in Cursor. I'm not gonna do it because this is the apps, or rather the tools that I use the most. But here's where you start really getting the most value out of AI tools. So now every time that I make any prompt, this information is already into the agent or the LLM. They know that they have to execute whichever code that I request with all of these instructions. So depends on what you use. For example, interfaces, I'm using Tailwind. I don't want to use all of these. Better server components. You saw it. Optimize images. And I didn't really come and do a lot of this. I just copied one of these strategies and applied it to my Cursor. And now whenever I ask Cursor to generate something, it can actually go and generate it the way I want, and without me having to do a lot of stuff that I usually had to. So that's a very powerful tool that I suggest you always take into account. System prompts is part of, it's key. I think even Claude has some Claude system prompt tips. Here we go. So you see, this is even on Anthropic's direct documentation. So this is for the SDK to be specific, but okay, yeah, build with Claude. Prompt engineering. I would suggest you to read this documentation, especially if you're gonna use in Claude. Most of probably is the most used right now for code. I don't know, I might be wrong there, but I like it a lot. And here you're gonna have like all the information on how to start using prompts. templates. We're gonna dive deep into templates later with Eliza to generate all of these evaluations and instruct the LLMs how to process the information. Okay, you're gonna get a request that somebody wants you to send him money or her. Well, then if you don't know that person, don't send it money. If you do, still don't send it. Or if they convince you, but you need to define all of this. Just follow all of these instructions. Really, it's a very good read. And I think that's enough for today. I don't want to go deeper into the code right now. I think we are doing a very good job right now. I would like to you have any questions on how to get started with tools and AI, and just start getting your ideas flowing on what do you want to build during the build-a-thon, because this is going to give us the feedback that we need to tailor the content and tailor the resources for all of these kind of cool ideas that you may have. Let's see.
All right.
Docs and topic.
Mateus, you want to walk us through, do a quick intro to what we'll talk about next time? And we don't have to dive into the coding today, but we'll host another session that will be diving into the code and walking through deploying your own agent. So by the next call, everyone on this will have their own agent live on Replit. Is that right? Or are we doing Cursor? What are we doing, Mateus?
Well, we can do Replit. Maybe we just separate one for Cursor. Cursor is cool because we can go feature by feature, just the chat first, then the composer, then we tweak the configurations a bit, the system prompt, like Mel is saying. Most people miss that, but Cursor has a privacy option, like a toad calling the whole thing. Sometimes you're working for a client, like doing a freelancing work and all, and you are breaching your contract without even noticing, because when you send the code for a third party, it's not there in your contract now. So it's very easy, very common to have people doing that. Maybe people there are Cursor, they are to be trusted, maybe they are not. I'm going to shoot the judgment here. It's just that there is the feature. This feature there is not very advertised. People miss. So maybe calling, we do another call for going over all of those features and possibilities, and should take about 40 up to an hour, 40 minutes to an hour. That should be cool.
Cool. Yeah, let's do that. Do you want to do a quick intro to it?
Well, today, we had a lot of content from Mel. I saw some questions here in the chat. Maybe I could have the mic for like 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes just to sort some concepts, and that would prepare everyone's for tomorrow lesson, more for coding together. Let me present my screen here.
So I put very quickly this question. Eliza is a multi-chain framework. So yes, the announcement was done yesterday, and we love it. And just so you know, that's the cool part about agents. It's very flexible. It's very easy to create the tools that you need and just adapt it to whatever you want. Even if it's Solana, even if it's like some chain that you have never heard, if you know how to use Beam or how to use EVM, then you just switch the calls and the functions. You have access to that same functionality.
So I guess I'll follow up with that, which with a quick point out that this is a live grant program. This Tuesday, actually, we launched the Polygon grant programs right after our call. So if you guys go to polygon.technology/grants, you can see all of the awesome projects that are all the grants that are available right now. So you can go and apply. Ideally, you should learn how to build an agent before you go and apply. But at the same time, I would encourage you to apply as quick as possible, because these programs, there's actually 5 different grant programs. And right now you can, the one that we are talking about is the Eliza Labs AI agent. So you can there's 1 million Polygon tokens being given to projects to build Eliza agents on chain. There's also an agents on chain apps by Crossmint, and IOText for DPen, which DPen may also relate to agents. And then there's also community direct grants to basically open up to anything. So you don't have to be an AI agent project, but even if it is an AI agent project, you can still apply for that grant. So there's several grants to apply for. If you go to the Eliza OS Polygon Grant Program, encourage you to mention in your application that you heard about it from DABL Club and Mel and Colin, so they know that you came from us. And also reach out to us and let us know that you applied. And that way we can kind of discuss and review your application. So I'm happy to help and review your applications one-on-one. We can schedule time, or we can chat about it in our Telegram. You can also, I would also encourage you to join the Discord of Polygon as well as Eliza if you want to chat with the teams behind these projects. So Polygon's Discord is easy to find on their website, as well as Eliza's Discord is on the same website. So,
yeah. Hey, Colin, quick question. Is Eliza gifting the robot that they just announced yesterday as a bounty?
Say what?
Let me share my screen. Yeah, let me share my screen. There is this robot announced yesterday that's going to be costing $420,000 AI humanoid. Okay, just kidding. That's not what.
Bots for our agents to talk in real life. I do think it's exciting that people are focused on Android robots, but I'll give another shout out to our partner that we gave away the AI devices in person. So something that I would like to encourage people to.
Oh, they owe me. Yes, that could be a good partnership. Yeah.
Like, I don't think we're at the stage in life where we're going to see robots, but we are starting to see augmented reality. And so having an AI that can record your conversations and translate them, and then feed that to a vector database and access OpenAI's model to actually give you information. So this is sort of the direction you would see OpenAI is going. And so it's exciting to see an open source project that we've worked closely with and promoted through all of our hackathons. So I encourage you guys to also go get your OMI device, and they have a developer kit. So while you might want to buy the cool device, I would recommend getting the dev kit. We gave away 350 of these last year in Mexico City, in Bangalore, in Bangkok, and San Francisco. So hopefully you made it to one of those hackathons and got one of the dev kits. If not, you can just buy your own for $70. And then you can connect this to your AI agent. So that's something that we were working on, putting an app on their app store so it works with their device. So I encourage everyone to check out, to integrate their agents with something that you can carry around with you, so the agent can be actually integrated into your daily life, as opposed to something that only you interact with on Twitter. So let's see if there's any more questions on here. There's an interesting idea from Mel. What is a proof of personality? I like that. I think verifiable compute is a big deal right now. And a lot of what we see on the internet is that, like, you don't know if someone you're talking to is an agent or a human, right? So we have this world where we understand what fake news is, but we haven't really experienced what fake people are. So it'll be very but we're starting to accept agents as if they are part of the community. So how do you see proof of personality tying into defining agents' character? Hey, Mel.
So, there's a relatively simple way that people can replicate agents. It's code at the end of the day. So if you get hold of code, you can deploy an agent that is simulating another agent, or is simulating something else, or it's claiming to be something that it's not programmed to be. So it's very hard for us as persons, regular persons, to identify who's even an agent or who's a human. Now you going deeper into the agents, how can you start thinking on what will this agent do? How will it behave? Will it be harmful? Can I interact with it in a way that I know that I'm not going to be exposed to some harmful situation? Could be bad transfer, could be publication of information. It's tricky. And right now we're only seeing black boxes because we're only seeing the UI, which is a chat. And honestly, there's an expected results whenever interacting with agents. This is still very new with LLMs, so there can be an expected outcomes, and we want to understand why these outcomes happen and how we can remediate them. So this idea of creating a registry where you upload the information for your agent, how it behaves, and we're gonna see on Eliza how to define this next Monday, how to define this personality, how it answers, and what's its way of thinking and reacting. And this it's a JSON file, and it has also the functions and the tools that it can use, the plugins. If we could create a record of this, okay, this is the actual character that's being run inside this agent, and that way I can take a proof with this registry and say, hey, is this agent registered for agents for good or agents not harmful? I don't know, whatever. But then you could prove very easily if an agent is actually helpful or if it's just like a rogue agent. Maybe I made it too complex, but I think there's a cool way to start identifying agents by which are harmful and which are like helpful, or even like identities. Is it a support? Is it a region? Is it a degen? Like this kind of fun ideas that we already assign these tags to ourselves. But we also need to identify this to the agents. And if it's only black box, we're never gonna know unless reputation. But let's just put the reputation in a secret proof, and that's an easier way to keep track of it. It's a long shot, but I would love to see that happen. That's a good hackathon project. Tuesday, Thursday,
cool ideas.
So, quick question: the dev kit from Omi, you can also just buy the regular Omi. I think they'll both work. You don't need the hardware dev kit if you are going to just build software. The hardware dev kit's pretty cool and kind of shows off that you're a developer, though. So I'd probably get the new. I just ordered the new one, and I see someone in our chat has already actually built something on Omi. So shout out to somebody who's already building there. I see also someone mentioning Story.Foundation. I thought I'd give a shout out to them. They're local to the Bay Area, and they launched intellectual property on chain. And I think ownership of agents is an interesting question. So is an agent totally autonomous and has its own wallet and nobody can touch that agent's wallet? Right, as we live today, agents are not totally independent of humans, and there's usually a Wizard of Oz behind the man behind the curtain who's actually operating that agent and adding functionality. And so we're in that phase where people are building agents and still have control over those agents. So very few, if any, agents are really autonomous today. But I think we'll start to see autonomous agents that we essentially lose control of, and they start running their own servers on Akash network, and when they only die when their wallet runs out, right? And so if they can manage to make money on their own, or they have a big enough treasury, then the agent keeps running itself on decentralized cloud to prevent. So we may see agents that are resistant to attack and resistant to being taken down. But for right now, I think 99.99% of agents are all really someone behind it, building it and giving it the functionality. So we are in that turning point, though, where autonomousness is going to happen. And the UN's already approved one AI, Sophia the robot, as a citizen of the UAE. So it's gotten approved that agents can have autonomy legally, but we still haven't seen actual autonomous agents. At least I haven't. But if you know of one, I think that's very interesting. I want to give a plug for our next sessions. We're going to be launching the advanced version of Agent Camp. So we've gotten demand for people that want to dive into the code and start building. So we've been kind of high level introducing people to the tools. And so Mateus is joining us. He's done a lot of really in-depth boot camps. We did a boot camp with him in San Francisco. We had over 100 people attend that. I think 150 maybe. and he also led a boot camp in New York with around 50 people. So we're going to do this now at scale online, bringing hundreds of people into the coding boot camp. And Mateus, will you correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't have to have a ton of coding experience, but you should have a little bit of understanding, so that you want people that can dive in and have a little bit of experience, maybe with JavaScript or Node.js. What would be the requirement to know that you are welcome in the advanced course?
Yeah, well, for the advanced one, if you want to build something quick, depending if you're going to team up and all, having some TypeScript or Python knowledge would be very helpful. But if you know already some smart contracts, Solidity, or working with frameworks like Web3.js, Ethers, VM, and all, would be great. And of course, for building front end, some front end knowledge, working with Next.js, or just plain React, that would be cool too. It's not needed though. We have AI, we have now ways to ask questions while we are coding. One of my suggested uses for Cursor is that. So if you're a beginner, you pick a template and you start asking questions of the code, unless the AI is hallucinating, you're going to have a 24/7 tutor that can speak your language. It can explain in the way that you want it to explain to you. So I don't see any reason that a newcomer couldn't join and enjoy.
Great.
I share that small message there. So in short, I would say bring your best. Be aware that code is challenging and it can get frustrating fast. If you're okay with that, know that we have your back and we have AI to support us. So yeah, just go for it.
It's going to be fun.
We've already got 33 brave friends signed up for tomorrow's advanced session, so the appetite is certainly here.
Great.
Amazing.
Well, with that, I guess we can end a little early, right? We'll answer some questions in here. Someone mentioned, hey, can you share the ETH Global link as well? You can go to ethglobal.com /events. That should take you to where you want to go, or just ethglobal.com and find the events page. As well, if you're looking for the Polygon grants, I encourage you to go to polygon.technology/grants and apply for a Polygon grant. I think those are probably the most important links for today. So I encourage you to check out those sites and keep building and prepare for tomorrow's class. What should people dive into before tomorrow? Should we point people to Cursor or Replit? What are we going to be doing tomorrow?
Replit. Let me drop a link here. Maybe we can put as a pre-read for tomorrow. Put here in the chat. And basically, it's going to be it, 40 minutes up to 1 hour going over this this template, but we have it tweaked for Polygon. So we're going to change some small configurations, and it is in the advanced track, but I'm going to take care of explaining the whole point of it, what are agents, what is happening, how our next token prediction is making action. I'm going to explain all of that in the introduction. I'm going to introduce Replit, and then we can start coding tomorrow, our first on-chain agent.
All right, friends, I love it. Tons of resources here. Again, I've dropped the link for the resource kit. It's been shared quite a few times. It'll be on our Telegram. It'll be on our X profile. You won't be left behind. All of the materials that were shared today, all of the links that were referenced for these tools and websites, the Luma for tomorrow's advanced session, all of this material will be shared in that resource kit. You won't be left behind. We won't forget about you if you're showing up late or if you're watching this after the fact. And then just a big hands up to beginner class, beginner track. We have not forgotten you. Me and Mel will get together and we'll set something up to make a very specific beginner track, so that way we can start with the very basics of the IDE, which for those like Randolph out there who are very trying to make it happen and just maybe needing that little nudge to get over that technical hump. We won't forget you guys either. Tomorrow, though, we'll go ahead and kick off our very first advanced session. I appreciate everyone's time. These things are a blast. The time flies by. I can't believe how much content gets shared. Thanks for all the questions today. You guys are very active in the chat, and that's very necessary, so that way we can make sure that we're addressing the issues, the concerns, and the thoughts that y'all have. I'm going to pass the room around one more time, just have everybody give their sign off here, and we'll call this thing a wrap. Mel, go ahead and start us off. Oh, you're the best part is muted.
Yeah, thanks. No, thanks very much for joining. Like Kale said, we will be making sure that everyone's feels supported. Next week we have this ELISA explanations. I think it's very good for beginners and also advanced to join, just so you understand a little bit how it works, psychology ish, and how to create a character. It's gonna be very fun. It's one of the funnest parts. And yeah, so let's keep building, and trust me, all of these ideas and things about agents that you want to build, you're gonna be able to build it. Either you take the advanced or the like beginner course, you're gonna be able to get where you want. But of course, we only ask from you motivation and work.
All right, Mateus.
I'll pass the popcorn to Mateus.
No, that's great. The dabbling and dabbling. Every dabbler is going to be dabbled tomorrow. That's good. Thank you everyone for joining. That's going to be fun.
All right.
Let's dabble. Let's dabble tomorrow, and let's LFG, but also let's do some homework and get prepared for Coinbase Developer Kit workshop tomorrow, and get excited about the Polygon grants. So please go apply. Cheers.
Beautiful, friends. We'll see you later. If you'll check out the Luma for DABL Club, the Luma has all of our next sessions all the way out through the end of the program. We finally got it all laid out there. The whole track is there. So you can get registered for the standard Monday, Thursday sessions. Tomorrow's advanced session is now live as well. The resource kit. The number one place, if you have questions or you feel like you've missed any of this information today, jump in the DABL Club Telegram, dabble.chat. That's where I live full time. So you can come in there and say, hey, Kale, what the heck? I missed this. And we'll make sure to get you set up. No hacker left behind in the DABL Club. Thank you all for being here today and diving into the advanced session tomorrow. For the rest of you, we'll see you on Monday.